across Africa that have achieved in various spheres of life. Because these guys have achieved. Have you identified them? Because when you begin to reward these young ones, and appreciate them and consider them as part of the main society. Because what is happening today, like if you would see what is going on in Nigeria today, there's some young lads in Europe who are pushing for Macron to stop the ECOP project in Uganda. What do they know about Africa? So if we have a very united, formidable African Union that can come up with a very big voice and say, listen, can you even keep your money? We don't need your money. We make ourselves, we donate funds and have a pool of funds where we can tap into to develop our natural resources. Okay, so this is what I'm saying. So Intern and Return Initiative for African youth is what Baywood Foundation is still advocating, because that's the only way we can put Africa and make them to be a continent to be sought after. We have the smart youth, we have very intelligent youth, we have youth tech savvy. If you come to Nigeria today, one of the things that is raving is tech startups. These tech startups are young ones. 20, 25, 30, coming out with different, genuine ideas. All they need is a little pep, and that's what you call this little pep, like what we did in the program with Coca-Cola. The first time that Baywood Foundation ever got grant was Coca-Cola giving us $100,000 to do a program we call Youth ICT and Skill Acquisition Project, YISAP. You can go to our website, Baywood Foundation, and find YISAP, YISAP. What we do was to gather youths from all parts of the state and train them in different skills. Okay? We have certain set skills we train them in those skills, and give them, and then on the final day, they exhibited their skills. They produced those things that they did, they created those things that they did, and it became and displayed their wares in the market, and people bought them, right? But in doing that, we gave them some seed funds to start off.
Not just saying go and start this,
so
go and start this.
Out of 600 or 1,000 people that were trained in different skills, we selected 100 or 200 people that were given seed money. So this is what I'm saying. In every society, if you don't make such policies and drive those policies down, and it has to be driven by a youth, not when you set up a commission like that, you go and get some guy that's 80 years to manage. No, you got to be a youth of 30 who will drive the stage, because these guys, they're thinking differently from the way we're thinking today, and they're tech savvy. Listen, they can, when even you go agro-based, they can do a lot of things with agro, okay? Deploying technology, deploying skills. We're talking about large-scale farming. They can even do green farming. Greenhouse farming. Yeah. And in greenhouse farming, you don't need even a large footprint to do a greenhouse, okay? But you produce as much, and even well-controlled environment. You produce as much healthy fruits and agro-based products than you would have done using massive agro-based. Of course, you need to do mechanized farming. But you know what? Get these guys to buy into the future, and it has to be driven by their own people. And what we're saying about intern and return is that even in National Assembly, wherever you have somebody like a 50-year-old guy, you need to bring someone like a 30-year-old guy to understanding him. Yes. And in understanding him, you're paying him from the internship fund, okay? That thereafter is either he continues with what he is doing as an intern, or he goes out. By then, he would have made gained knowledge, he would have made contact, he would have had his own network group and all stuff like that. So this is what we're thinking, and this is the way to really, really develop the African youth. And this is what Baywood Foundation is all about, championing for over 17 years. And it's born out of passion. It's about us speaking, because I know that if you don't have a safe environment, you can be as rich as you are, but if your neighbor is not happy, is not hungry, you are unsafe. So create a safe environment by making sure that people are around you. And that's why my role model was Nelson Mandela. And that's why I love his quote. He said, it's not about how long you lived on earth, but how much you have impacted on lives of people. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's not about how successful you are. So for me, I think one of the things that I pride myself for is that you don't need to have billions to be a philanthropist, right? I did it, and I found the secret to success. It's giving. And it's not about how much you give. It's about how you're able to get people to have a reset and begin to think differently. So I'm a proponent of that we have to bring our youth forward, both in politics, in all spheres of life, in business, but you need to train them. You need to create funds in everything we do and we don't carry these young guys along, someday will come and they will rise up against us. And you know what? When we had NSAS in Nigeria, and it was in Lagos, I don't know if you read about NSAS.
Yes, yes.
By the special grace of God, I'm one of the bourgeois, all right?
Yeah.
In Lagos and Nigeria.
Yeah.
I was so afraid of myself. I was so afraid of everything around me. Because when an eruption like that engulfs, they don't know who is speaking for them. They don't know. It's like you are one of the oppressors. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you can become a target that you shouldn't have been. So why don't we nip this situation in the bud before it balloons, okay, and out of control? So there was a lot of destruction, and they were going after the rich people. These rich people, and who are these rich people? Could have been a Baywood who had worked all his life, aching, trying to make money legitimately, not being involved in any scam, not being involved in anything that is illicit, okay, and then even giving back to the society. But my dear brother, when a situation like that occurs,
It's indiscriminatory.
it's indiscriminatory.
Because they're not thinking.
Yeah, they're not thinking.
Yeah.
Everybody's a target, and I don't want to be that because I will regret it. So my position is, the earlier we nip the situation on board, the better for everybody, and together we can make Africa forward and move this nation, this continent, to where we expect it to be. We can't do it. We need these guys, but we need to reorientate their values. We need to reset their values, because the values is completely eroded right now. And in doing so, we need to reorientate ourselves again. Our value system is no more.
Ladies and gentlemen, Emperor Chris Baywood Ibe, thank you very much. This has been one of the most powerful interviews that we've done on the CEO bench. And as we depart from here, question, in a second, tell us a joke.
A joke.
A joke that has ever been given about your name, Emperor, and how you reacted to it, if at all. And give us one African proverb from Nigeria.
Well, I don't know. You see, people think that I just woke up and became emperor. I said, okay, no problem. But it's a story for another day. But I always tell you, if you want to know about the emperors, that's a book you need to go and read. It's called God, Pope, and Emperor. So you know the origin of emperor.
Wow.
God, Pope, and Emperor. So,
Yeah.
one thing about this, it connotes reality, and if you want to be an emperor, you have to live up to it, right? You have to live up to it. So, I think I'm living up to my title, emperor, and I make good to say that unless you visit me in Nigeria, you may not know that I'm a true emperor. And I'm a benevolent emperor, because emperors are known for draconian rules and the Gestapo style of doing things. I am not that one. I'm this benevolent emperor. Emperors don't talk about giving back. So I could better be described as a refined emperor who talks for the people, especially the downtrodden and the young people. So that's what I should be remembered. One of the things I want to be remembered for when I'm gone is, how many lives have you touched? It's not how much money I have. No. It's not how much. Are you the biggest billionaire in the world? No. Yes, even if I'm the biggest billionaire, but how much lives have I touched? And that's my prayer, that as God continues to bless us in what we do, we have to leave our footsteps on the sands of times, so that I'll be counted amongst those who have to alleviate poverty. I have to touch lives. And you know what it means to shake a young man who never thought that he could come close to you. That's mentorship, right? And they wouldn't touch you unless you get close to them, right? So you must break that barrier so that they come close to you, make yourself available, that they can come and talk to you. Something happened during the conference in Uganda where I participated. A lot of youths came to me, a lot of young ones, because of my contribution. I couldn't just carry on like Emperor Chris Baywood, but I was ready to mingle. I was ready to talk with them. I was ready to impart this knowledge and get them to be to be appreciated. And, you know, they felt so happy that, oh, wow, this guy, so he's accessible. Just a handshake. How are you? How you doing? What are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. You know, these things, they go a long way to helping and motivate people. So it's why I am a motivational speaker. Put me on the table there, and I'll teach the young lads how to turn things around.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, the CEO bench has come to an end. Edio Killer, Emperor Chris Baywood Ibe, all the way from Enugu State in Nigeria, the federal state of Nigeria. We want to say thank you very much. Until next time, we're saying bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Emperor, for coming.
Yes, my name is Moses Bekabye. I work with the Ministry of Finance as a technical advisor for economic affairs. I also sit on the board of the Uganda Retirement Benefits Regulatory Authority, and I represent the Permanent Secretary and Secretary to Treasury on the board. I was also the person who started the organization as interim CEO for the organization. My role was to set up the organization, and here we are. Well, I started as an economist, then in the Ministry of Planning and Economic Development. Then there was a merger of the two ministries of Finance and Planning in 1992. I was one of the key persons undertaking economic analysis in the Ministry of Finance. Then after that, I went to start the Private Sector Foundation, which you know very well, I think. From that, I came back to the Ministry of Finance briefly as a consultant, basically working on some key frameworks, including private sector competitiveness strategies, and also involving myself supporting now the late Tumsime Mutevile, who was the governor. That time he was the Secretary of Treasury and Permanent Secretary, so I worked very closely with him. And also Mr. Keith Mwakanizi, who was also Secretary of Treasury and Permanent Secretary. I also supported all that. When we started working, we also worked with the late Chesimira. I don't know whether you knew him. We also worked with Mayanja and Kanji and the rest. Saida Bumba, Honorable Chiwanuka, Honorable Dr. Suruma, and many others. So it's been a long journey, and Honorable Sendaula. So it's been a long journey working through economic policy analysis with all these people. First, we started with the Economic Recovery Program in the late 80s. And then we moved on to the higher level reforms, economic reforms, liberalizing the economy, strengthening institutions, and so on and so forth. Then from there, I worked with Parliament. I set up the Parliamentary Budget Office. That was between the year 2000 and 2002. Then from there, I joined the World Bank in Washington, D.C. So I worked there for about 6 years at the World Bank. Then I came back the Ministry of Finance as a technical advisor. And one of my key roles, which was given to me by Dr. Suruma, was to reform the pension sector, the retirement benefits sector, which role I thought I handled very well. And we started the reforms in around 2008. We had the law establishing UBRA in 2011, and then we started the journey to establish the institution. So the Ministry of Finance, because I was the technical person really handling all these reforms, they asked me to come and set up this institution, which is the Retirement Benefits Regulatory Authority. So I was requested to start as interim Chief Executive Officer, which I did from the year 2012 to early 2015. It's been a great journey. When we started from scratch. There was no institutional setup, there were no laws, there was nothing. So we started with the legal framework, putting in place the legal framework that establishes the supervisor or the regulator for the retirement benefits sector. Before then, there was no effective regulation of the sector. And because of that, there were Ponzi schemes, there were frauds and all those kind of things. There was no trust in the sector. So our primary objective was to build a system that would instill confidence in the general public, good governance aspects. And of course the objective was to make sure that we put in place a framework that would deal with old age poverty. That's the primary objective, dealing with old age poverty. And our objective was to put in place all the legal frameworks, we put in place operational frameworks, and set up the institution in order to regulate the sector so that there can be confidence, trust and confidence in the public, so that people can actually start saving in the retirement benefit schemes, or you can call them pension schemes. There were some schemes which existed, and the law actually recognized them. And when we started regulating and licensing those sectors. Some of them were fearful, but we went ahead to sensitize them, to look for them, and to tell them the objectives for which we were set up. And the objective was really to make sure that the sector grows, and so that we can have adequate savings. When you have adequate savings, then you can deal with the replacement income when you're not able to work, so that when you're old, you have a fallback position. Of course, when you do that and there's good governance, there are benefits to that. You're creating value for those who are saving, the workers who are working hard to save for their retirement age. But also you are mobilizing resources for the economy. For instance, the national savings, they have been so low. We are trying to grow them. They're still not as adequate as we would want them to be. But once you do that, then you're also mobilizing resources, long-term finance for the economy. And once you grow the economy, of course, you're creating jobs, you're growing incomes, you have more people actually enrolling in the retirement benefit sector or pension schemes. So that's the journey, and that's the objective, and that's why we are here. The most important thing really is to keep moving ahead with improving the sector. And improving this sector means that you must be with integrity, you must build the confidence in the sector, and most importantly is to grow and broaden the coverage. These are not easy things because there are other competing priorities when you're saving. So the objective here, and what I want us to really focus on going forward, is to increase our awareness campaigns and education. Because when you tell people to save, especially when they're young, they don't understand it. So we have to constantly educate them. We have to broaden these campaigns, go beyond Kampala, go in the region, go to the training institutions, so that when these people start working, they know they have to save, and they have to save for their old age. So what is really, really critical is to broaden coverage. And broadening coverage means we have to create awareness, we have to educate the public. And I commend my colleagues, first and foremost my board members who have been dedicated. Our board members come from near and far, but they have been dedicated to the objective of UBRA, and the objective of UBRA is to improve governance of the sector. That has been very critical. But also I commend management. I was head of the management here. We worked so hard to make sure that we set up this institution, and it's an institution of great excellence. Going forward, what we are looking at is really to ensure that there is good coverage, people are aware, and they trust the institutions that we've put in place, that we supervise. That's the pension schemes or the retirement benefit schemes. Once they do that, then they can be able to live a happier life when they are old. That's the primary objective. The second objective, as I mentioned, is really to mobilize long-term savings. And many countries around the world, they have used pension funds to actually grow their sector. And once you grow the sector, then you're also growing indirectly or directly the retirement benefit schemes. So what I see going forward for the next 10 years is an organization that is efficient, that is creating value for the benefits. Efficiency meaning that the cost when you contribute money, the cost of administration is much low. When I contribute, I must be guaranteed that 20 years from now, 30 years from now, when I retire, my money will be there. And ensuring that the monies that I contribute are invested in assets that will make my money grow. Not just putting in 1 shilling, and 20 years you're paid 1 shilling. When I put in 1 shilling, I should be paid 100 shillings at the end of 30 years. And that's the objective, and that's efficiency. Of course, there is a very difficult objective, is to ensure that whatever we are paid as pension, for instance, as our retirement benefits are adequate. That's a very long-term objective, and it's not as easy because it has so many elements in it. It has so many dynamics in it. It has to do with the public sector performance. It has to do with the performance of the economy. And once we achieve those, then we should be able to move forward. Yes, my name is Moses Bekabi. I'm a technical advisor in the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development. I'm also a board member of UBRA. I would want to wish everyone, first of all, beginning with my board colleagues, to thank them for the work they've done and wish them well for the 10-year journey we've moved. I also want to thank and commend the Minister of Finance and also the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Finance, who have been very, very supportive of the work we do here. I want also to thank the members of Parliament for the laws that they have done, but also most importantly, the members who are supposed to be saving the retirement benefit schemes, the artisans, the border members, the workers in the institutions, government and private sector who contribute to these schemes. The journey has been great, and thank you very much, and we wish you all the best in the 10-year coming.
It was like the Psalms. When you look at David, he's passing through hard things, but then he's willing to talk about them. So music allowed me to be real, authentic. To God, he uses song to minister to me. So it was more, it's personal, I can relate to it, and he's helping me overcome through that, to be able to be used as that vessel that delivers this message, which I know that I've just borrowed from heaven.
Cast down on my soul. Why don't you hold
My music statement is to write music that will be able to speak to the heart, soul, and spirit. Restoring the goodness. You know, when in the Bible it says, and he looked at it and it was good. The message that I have, there are 10 songs. They will be specifically invoking that God has already said, that we have to embrace as his image, to restore goodness in this world. Music is not what defines you. For me, that was a great revelation, that my identity is more in God, in who God calls me. If I can inspire you also to use your gifts and talents to make a difference, I would have played my part in this world.
I will rise and rise. Now is the time. Rise and praise you, Lord.
Good evening, viewers. My name is Rebecca Loitute, and this evening I am delighted to host Mr. Ronald Miti, the Chief Technical Officer of ATC Uganda, and he's going to tell us about a media training that he has recently completed and how that has shaped the way he will be looking at communications in times of crisis and in normal times. Over to you, Mr. Miti.
Thank you, Rebecca. It's been a very great morning that we have enjoyed today morning with Eddie. I never thought of media relations the way I've actually been able to pick it up from today. My learnings, my takeaways today is the importance of building relationships with the media teams within the market, because what we've found is that if you have that team on your side as an organization, there is a lot that you can achieve with less effort. Very important also, I've learned that this whole concept of the culture that you want to build within the organization, has to do with the fundamentals of the organization in terms of what you want the organization to look like, the day-to-day running of the organization. We found out that, and this was best delivered by Dr. Wale, that understanding the organization and where they want to go, where the organization wants to go, is very fundamental in driving the culture of the organization. If you don't define it well, then anything can lead you anywhere because it's not well articulated. And there were a couple of examples that were delivered to us that were used to illustrate this concept. And I think it is something that ATC as an organization, we need to be more aware of. It's something that we need to be more definitive of, especially that we are an American company operating in Africa with a completely different culture altogether, and how we are able to merge the two or get the best of what is expected of us as an entity from our corporate office and the environment in which we run within the industry or within Africa.
Thank you, Miti. I have a couple of follow-on questions. The first one is, in terms of culture, you have talked about the importance of making sure that the culture is aligned to where the company wants to go. And you have also mentioned that we are in a unique situation where we are running an American company in an African country. How would you advise executives in this same situation as yours to go about creating a culture that's effective for their organization but is cognizant of the environment in which they operate?
I think this concept was best delivered by Dr. Wale when he talked of it's better we are very clear on the expectations from the corporate office, and then we spell out the uniqueness of the culture in Uganda. Then between the two of them, we should be able to map out where we have common areas and there is no difference at all, and then which areas need a little bit of tweaking so that we are not so far off from the corporate expectation, but we are actually in resonance with the environment in which we run. So I think that is one of the biggest issues. And I think the second bit is to do with whatever we write on paper in terms of vision, values, and everything is good, but it's all not enough if we are not able to actually put it into practice. So we can have everything written out on paper, but I think we need to convert that into actual behaviors within us as an executive team that gets cascaded down to the rest of the organization. And I think within those two, we should be able to drive the right culture within ATC.
Okay, so one last question, and it's about the statement that you made concerning the importance of relationships with the media. I would like to know what you think about the line, where do you draw the line between influence peddling and normal media relations?
Yeah, I think this is a tricky one, especially, knowing that we are an American company and we are we have very strict lines in terms of do's and don'ts with in relation to corruption or influence peddling. But I think what we have to do in this case is to ensure that whatever exchanges that we have between us as an entity and any third party, in this case the media team that we would be engaging with, doesn't come with any asks. And a very simple example is to say, if we were holding, say, a function and we serve a cup of tea, bites or lunch, that won't be seen easily as you are influence peddling. You're just enabling an environment. You're just facilitating in that particular case. We need to ensure that there is no direct request if you say the lunch is here, but on condition you are going to do X, Y, and Z in exchange for that. I think that's where the line is. If it comes through directly to say this is transport so that you do X, Y, and Z for us as ATC, I think that can be a tricky one. But maybe if you offer to pick them up and deliver them to the venue, that may not come through us as a corruption tendency. That's what I would say.
Okay, thank you very much, and we look forward to hosting Mr. Miti in our next program.
Thank you very much, Rebecca. It was nice having a chat with you.
Kabalaza, golfing, golfing, golfing. Kabalaza, 14, 40, Kabalaza.
Allow me recognize the presence of the Attorney General and past President of the Uganda Golf Union and trustee of the union, Honorable Chwanuka. Thank you very much for the guidance always. The executive of Uganda Golf Union present. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It's indeed a pleasure to be speaking to the fraternity of golfers. I must thank the Kabalaza fraternity for allowing to make the event, the qualifying event for the amateurs in terms of ranking. For us as a union, that means growth in the sport and nurturing and identifying talent as well. Uganda Golf Union is here to serve you. I thank you very much.
Golfing, golfing, golfing. Kabalaza, golfing, golfing.
Thank you so much for the organizers of Kabalaza Open Championship. It was what we would call the full buffet. I teed off very well. We first agreed on the tee box. We had the pros playing in this tournament. Thank you so much. That is not very easy to get the pros to play at a tournament. The amateurs playing for a cash prize, and also, of course, the subsidiary. All of us who played in this event.
Kabalaza, oi! Thank you very much. Allow me to appreciate our sponsors. I would like to thank you and welcome you to the second edition of the Kabalaza Championship with our theme, Golf with a Purpose. It has been a 4-day event of which we had gross players men, gross players ladies, and of course the pros. The gross players men and ladies played over 3 days, and the pros played over 2 days.
I don't have much to say. Basically, I'm here to appreciate a group of people called the Kabalaza who have come together and give us a chance as professional golfers. All we need as professional golfers is to keep playing more events, because that's the only way we can get better.
Kabalaza, 48, 48, 48, oh Kabalaza, I want to be a Kabalaza.
ladies and gentlemen, those of you who played, the hackers who are out there, Kabalaza and Mr. Chairman and your team, thank you, thank you, thank you very much. We hope that this will continue to grow bigger and bigger. And we hope that the next time we come here to participate in this event, there will be even more golfers from not only Finland, but the rest of the world. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy yourselves, and may God continue to bless you all and keep you. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
1, 2, 3. Are you guys doing okay, ladies and gentlemen? Come on. It's time to party.
Baby, I'll never have a man like you. Baby, I wanna spend my life with you. Wanna say what you say. Neza togezanga no tabo. Kuanange chanti se. Alilele taita nsabo nyweze. Kati mukono kusabo kwate kona wano. Lawango uze ninganga talina mikono. Funa yoku kate neweka wakatono. Minyo wakache till the very end. Come on, body like killing, 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 killing. Killing, killing my day. Oh, love you and you be so ready. Baby, siri muzanyi wa beti. Na you don't love you, chilinda kansive mutwalo. Siteki yobulungi kuri. Katalia kapapula tuli mkwano. Simanyi, nchokwagala mulungi neyebera nsobikale. Wekuloga chiba chibi. Mafuta mukatala neza.
Tabula, baby. Shot, go. Baby. What?
I'm not a gold digger.
Jakala mukono sibi no webye chinika, baby. Jakala mukono, my lady.
I'm not a gold digger.
Baby. I'll give you more.
I'll give you more.
I will give you all.
Baby,
I'll give you more.
I'll give you my soul. I'll give you my goodies.
Jackie, yeah. Thank you so much, Kabalaza. Enjoy your night.
Young people at the moment are struggling to understand the older generation because times have changed. Technology has come in.
They've moved on.
Yes.
We're the ones sitting back and wondering, what is my child on to? TikTok has surpassed WhatsApp. The other one I call, I never call it Facebook, it's Bookface. Why are you on Bookface? Dad, it's Facebook.
Yes.
Me, I keep saying, I have a foot amongst the millennials.
Yeah.
And I understand the traditionalists.
Okay.
There's a song in the 60s, by the way, and in the 90s, 70s, where they're like, parents don't understand.
Yes.
Remember Prince?
Yes.
Prince.
Hello, viewers. You're most welcome to this show. This is the ATC Uganda studio, and with me, I have Mark Triamreba, who is the head of security, legal, and public affairs at ATC. This morning, we had a training about communication. Communication is quite wide as a facet, but I would like Mark to discuss with us or share with us why this particular communication section was held, why the particular team is chose, and what his learnings were during the session. Welcome, Mark.
Thank you, Stella, and good afternoon to our viewers. Yes, so today we spent our morning and mid-afternoon being trained as an executive team of ATC Uganda Limited. As you are aware, the executive team is the team that leads the business in Uganda. And as we grow as a business, we felt it's relevant to equip the business executives who speak on behalf of the company with how they relate with the media. The media is a very important stakeholder for ATC Uganda, and we felt that by giving our executives the necessary skills or the skill set to interact with the media, it would also go a long way in building our relationships with the media, but also building the ATC brand. Among the key takeaways from today's session were what are the tenets, the basic tenets of communication. How do we ensure that as a company, that as leaders of the company, we're all singing from the same hymn sheet. Our message is uniform. Our message can easily be understood, right? Our message is easy to understand, and our message reaches the intended recipients. I think most times people craft these beautiful messages, these beautiful strategies, but the intended recipient does not end up understanding or receiving what it is we are trying to communicate to them. So I think the training today has helped us understand what it is as a company we need to do to ensure that our message reaches the right audience and it is well articulated and understood.
Thank you, Mark. I did some research before this session and got to understand that ATC is business to business. Why are you interested in going into the media?
It's true. ATC is a B2B, and our customers consist of the mobile network operators as well as the wireless service providers in the country. So we typically do not have any interaction with the final consumer, or in this case, the mobile subscriber. However, as a company, we have grown in leaps and bounds over the last 3 to 4 years. In 2019, we acquired an existing company in the market, and that doubled our size overnight. Prior to the acquisition, we had about 1,500 towers, and as I speak today, we have close to 4,400 towers. With our market size and the fact that our customers are demanding and constantly demanding us to improve and innovate, communication is key for us as a leadership team. How do you communicate with your customer? How do you communicate with the stakeholders, right? We have many stakeholders now. We have the government of Uganda, we have the regulator, we have the tax authority, and because of the market size, our tax contribution to the country, we're always engaging with these stakeholders. So communication is one of the key ways through which you engage and get your message across to the stakeholder. So that's why we decided that we need this training.
Well articulated, Mark. From your experience, how do you intend to apply the skills you've been able to pick up this morning?
Yeah, good question. I think for us, the task now is to go and relook at our communication strategy, right? We've been communicating, but have we been communicating effectively? Has the message reached the intended recipient? So we'll do a deep dive. We'll do some data analytics to find out what people think about us, whether they're understanding what we're communicating to them. We also need to improve our internal communication within the business. I think one of the learnings that I took from Eddie earlier in this morning, he was like, he said that information is segmented and layered, right? What is at the top? In most companies, information stays at the top. It might trickle down to middle management, but what I'd call the frontliners or the foot soldiers barely get any communication that cascades down to them. And yet, for you to have a clear and effective communication strategy, the entire business must understand what it is we're trying to achieve and where it is we're trying to go. So I think for us, it's just to, first of all, to relook at our current strategy. Is it working? And apply some of the takeaways that we've taken from today's training.
Thank you, Mark. As we close, do you have any closing remarks for the viewers?
Yeah, so as ATC, we are committed to transform Uganda's telecommunication sector. We are committed to continue to invest in expanding telecom infrastructure in the country sustainably and ethically. We will try to continue to engage with our stakeholders, and will continue to support government of Uganda as it seeks to move our country to the middle income status.
Thank you very much, Mark, for your time and for being articulate. I remain Stella Sekweyama at ATC Uganda Studios. Thank you.
My name is Andrew Kasirye. I am the chairperson of the Uganda Retirement Benefits Regulatory Authority. But by way of background, I am a lawyer in private practice in the law firm of Kasirye, Biaruhanga and Company Advocates. I am one of the founding partners. My other partners are Mr. Enoch Rukidi and Mr. William Biaruhanga, the immediate former Attorney General, and Paul Rutisia. My journey in UBRA it has been a really new experience in my life. As you may have heard, UBRA was non-existent. There was no formal regulatory environment for pensions or retirement benefits. So we are a pioneer board, so to speak. We were appointed to set up the architecture and the environment for regulation of retirement benefits and pensions. The biggest challenge was when we were appointed. We were appointed mid of a financial year. There was no budget in the Ministry of Finance for UBRA. But among our board members was the PSST, Mr. Keith Muhakanizi. So he started creating what they call subventions. We had no office premises. We had no formal staff. So the ministry released to us Mr. Moses Bekabye, who is a board member representing now the PSST, and he came as the interim CEO to set up the institution so that we have a formal running administration. So Moses was able to co-opt some people from different places. Some came from the Ministry of Finance, and some came from the Ministry of Justice. And so we began the journey. I believe the journey has been very successful. We have a footprint now in the community, and that footprint is best exemplified by the growth of the pensions sector. As when we were appointed, the pension sector savings were less than 5 trillion. Today they're approaching 20 trillion. And when we were appointed, there were many retirement benefit schemes and pension schemes which were not registered or known or regulated. They had no rules, there was no governance, but the money was out there. The people who were saving were never certain whether they would get their money when they retire, and there was nobody to call the trustees or the promoters of those schemes to account. Some of those schemes were in public corporations, parastatals, some were in private companies. When we were established, the most urgent thing to do at the time was to set up licensing regulations. And now who were we licensing? We were licensing the retirement benefit schemes, and there are service providers who we established in the architecture which we drew up for the pension sector, borrowing from other good practices in other Commonwealth jurisdictions like Kenya. There are fund managers, there are custodians, there are administrators. So we set up rules and regulations for the licensing of those different categories of service providers. But even the trustees, the people who set up the schemes, needed to be licensed and given a framework under which they operate and are made accountable. But the most important thing is that the biggest elephant in the room was NSSF. And NSSF supported us. We worked with NSSF from the inception. Mr. Richard Biarugaba, his deputy then, Geraldine Sally, Mr. David Nambale was there, a legal person. So they were very, very big stakeholders in what we were doing. So from the inception, we worked with them to draw up the regulations, but we also looked for people in the marketplace who are known to have these schemes, like insurance companies and some fund managers. So slowly by slowly, the message trickled down that there was now a regulator and people had to fall in place. The most important thing is that there is trust in the sector. Those people who are saving for retirement are certain. There's certainty that when you retire, your money is there, and your money has been saved over a while and it has grown. I think that's very, very important for the public to know. But we have also put down investment regulations with different asset classes where the pension funds are invested, so that it's just not up to the whims of the trustees to put the money where they want or speculate with it, but they follow the investment regulations, and that makes the pension sector reliable. In the next 10 years, what I would like to really see going forward is the spread of coverage, because the pension sector as it is now is really in the formal sector. And when you look at the working population of Uganda, if you even put it at around 20 to 25 million, the working population, not even 3 million are covered by pensions. What I would really want to see is the sector moving out to the informal population who are part of the working population. They will also grow old and they will retire. They need to have that security. Well, first of all, we invite the stakeholders really to be part of this recognition, this celebration of 10 years of setting up an institution that is reliable, that has created security for the public, and we really think that they are part of it. Without them, the institution serves no purpose. To our stakeholders, those who are in the public service, public sector, those who are in the private sector, even those who are not yet covered, we would really think this is for them and to be a part of. This is an institution set up by the government for the benefit of the whole population, and my really message to them is to subscribe to it. Subscribe to it, give the support. When we go out on the road shows to talk about the importance of savings, to listen and to find a way of saving. My name is Andrew Kasidie. I'm the chairperson of UBRA, the Uganda Retirement Benefits Regulatory Authority, but I'm also the managing partner of Kasidie Byaruhanga and Company Advocates. As we celebrate 10 years of UBRA's existence, we want to thank you and to welcome you to celebrate with us this journey, which started in a very, 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 very challenging manner, but which has come to a very, very significant stage, and with the buy-in by the stakeholders, with the support of the government, the parliament, the public, and other stakeholders who are the savers, we want to invite you to join this celebration with us. And as we celebrate, let us not forget that the work is not yet done. There is still a lot of work to be done. We need to spread out into the informal sector. We need to reach out to the informal sector, find avenues and ways of bringing the working population. As we celebrate, let's also remember that there are those who are not yet part of the saving culture, and we find ways of bringing them forward. I wish you a happy celebration.
My name is Faizo Kiwewa. I am the founder and the artistic director of Bayimba. Welcome to this year's edition of Doa Doa 2021. As you're all aware, we skipped our 8th edition to the 9th. Don't blame us, the world did skip a year, and so did we. Since 2008, we have organized festivals, trained stakeholders, and championed a performing arts market that has helped local artists to level with the rest of the world and the region. That's how Bayimba has contributed to the vibrant arts sector in Uganda. This edition of Doa Doa is thought to be a special one, quite different from the previous years. We are running it for 3 months, from May to July. Once a week, we'll host a speaker and one artist for 30 minutes. We are going to learn everything we can about them. Curated to give a glimpse of the performing arts industry, starting from right here, the future space for the Bayimba Center for Visual and Performing Arts on Lunkulo Island, to the Reykjavik Opera House in Iceland, India, Chile, USA, and South Africa. We are going to meet virtually with our friends, some of the most amazing game changers from around the world. They are going to tell us about their spaces, their initiatives, the opportunities, and the possibilities. We thought this edition of Doa Doa would take us around the world, and we think we owe our audience what others have got to offer, and hopefully they could be inspired. And our second speaker is Mark Ball from Manchester, the United Kingdom.
Hello to everyone at the Bayamba Foundation and welcome from Manchester and Manchester International Festival. I'm Mark Ball, the Creative Director here at MIF, where I'm responsible for working on the festival, but also developing the artistic programme for the factory, which is something I'm going to talk to you about a little bit later. And it's really wonderful to be here today, albeit by video. The history of Manchester International Festival is really tied in to the history of Manchester. Manchester is known as a city of invention. It's where the Industrial Revolution started. And ever since then, the city has been making new things, from it being the birthplace of the trade union movement to the starting point of computing. Manchester is always about newness. It calls itself the original modern city. And so when the festival started in 2007, it really wanted to respond to that and to create a festival that uniquely would focus on new work. So everything that happens in Manchester International Festival, which happens every 2 years, has its world premiere in Manchester. We give an invitation for artists to be really adventurous, to come to the city, to try out new things, and to show things here first before taking it around the world. And we're particularly interested, with that spirit of invention, in really pushing the new. So much of the festival is about bringing artists together from different forms, different traditions, together into a collaborative space so that they can really test out new ideas and create new types of theatre, dance, opera and visual arts to really try and think about and imagine what the art of the future might look like. So the festival takes place every 2 years. It takes place across the whole city of Manchester. But at its DNA, at its heart, is the creation of that new work that I talked about, with artists from different forms coming together to create really, really new and exciting things. And just to give you some examples to illustrate that, recently we worked with the amazing Oscar-nominated actor Riz Ahmed to create a project called The Long Goodbye, where Riz really wanted to create a piece of work that looked at the impact of racism on immigrants into the UK and brought together not just his form of acting and theatre, but brought that together with dance, with visual culture, with digital culture to create a truly unique piece. More historically, we invited the amazing actor and director Kenneth Branagh to reimagine what Macbeth might look like in a beautiful old abandoned church in the heart of Manchester, creating a really epic but very intimate performance that allowed Kenneth Branagh to really play with the form of theatre making. Another landmark Manchester International Festival project, and one from its very first festival, was Monkey Journey to the West, which was a collaboration between the Chinese director Zhen Zizhen, the pop musician Damon Albarn, and the illustrator and visual artist Jamie Hewlett. And together, they brought a whole new perspective on that very traditional, legendary story of Monkey Journey to the West, really bringing together the traditions of Chinese circus, choreography, design and popular music to create something that felt entirely new, that started life in Manchester and then went and travelled around the world. And to bring us up to date with a more recent project, we worked with the grime artist Skepta. Skepta was really wanting to try and create a new experience for audiences, a much more intimate live music event. I think he was fed up with playing gigs where audience members would watch him by holding up their mobile phones and would watch him mediated through a screen. So he wanted, as I say, to create something that felt much more immediate, much more intimate. So we worked with him to create and design an incredible set, to work with technologists to build this visual world that Skepta created on this beautifully designed stage, with only a few people, 1,000 people crowded around him, to create again an entirely new type of live music event where mobile phones were in fact banned. We took them off the audience at the start of the gig. So the Bayamba Foundation asked me about the sacred art forms of Manchester, and I guess if this city is defined by one thing, other than perhaps football, it's designed by music. This is a city that has given birth to a hugely great musical tradition that actually goes back, over a century, from the establishment of the Halle Orchestra. We now have the BBC Philharmonic Orchestra here as well. But more recently, really since the 1970s, an incredible explosion of popular music in the city, from Joy Division, New Order, the Stone Roses, Oasis. Manchester really being a cradle of great musical talent that's gone and been exported around the world. So in terms of music, which has really been at the heart of the festival, we've worked with some of the great artists from across the UK and from around the world. Artists like New Order, who I've referenced earlier, but we got them to actually collaborate with the visual artist Liam Gillick to really think about what a collaboration would mean for a live music event that brought together visual arts and music. We worked with Bjork, but again asking her to do something new, to imagine what a Bjork experience might be like in virtual reality. We worked with Abdou and Mariam, bringing them to the Whitworth Art Gallery in Manchester. So music has always been a really integral part of the festival, and it's one of the things that will really drive the programme in our new home, the Factory. One of the things that Faisal asked me to talk about were the opportunities for artists from East Africa to engage with the festival. We've had a tradition of working with artists from across Africa. I mentioned Abdou and Mariam. We're working currently with the South African choreographer Greg Makoma. And actually, really excitingly, we're developing a long-term relationship with the amazing Homecoming Festival in Lagos, a festival that celebrates the best of Nigerian and West African design, art, culture, fashion and music. And we'll be bringing that to Manchester in this year's festival as a start of a longer-term relationship. And we'd love to work more with artists from East Africa as well. And we're always open to ideas. We're always open to collaboration. So please, if you've got ideas for what you think might work in the festival or relationships that you think you might want to build with us in Manchester, please just get in touch. We really do want to be open to new ideas. So I'm going to end by talking about two really exciting things. The first is that in a year which we've all faced huge difficulty and huge uncertainty, we're absolutely delighted to be able to present another edition of Manchester International Festival this July, made and created through all of the difficulties and all of the restrictions of COVID. But we've worked hard to pull together artists from the UK and some international artists to create a really special moment over the first 18 days in July in Manchester, a moment that will bring people back into the city, that will allow them to congregate and to reflect on the year that's just gone, to think about what's happened, but also, importantly, to really find moments of collective joy, something that I think we've all been longing for over the past difficult 12 months. And finally, the thing that I'm actually working on most is the Factory. The Factory will be Manchester International Festival's new year-round home. It's being built right in the heart of Manchester, and it will give a year-round invitation for artists to be their most adventurous, where we'll be able to provide artists with new commissions and new opportunities to present their work, not just every 2 years in the festival, but now in an incredible new space, every day of the year. And I'm thrilled that we're only 18 months away from opening the Factory, and it's a really, really unique space. It's a space where we're going to invite artists to be their most ambitious, to make work of scale. I was incredibly excited the other day to be able to go for the first time in over a year because of COVID onto the Factory site and to stand inside that building and to have seen it develop and grow, which I've only been able to do virtually or by looking at photographs, but to see it in the space and to understand its scale and its possibilities. This really is an incredible building that's going to allow artists to create hugely ambitious work of scale in a purposely designed building. So we're really excited about the potential for artists from all over the world to come and be their most creative, not just in the festival, but in the Factory as well. In July, we really look forward to welcoming you to Manchester, whether that's in person or online. And you can catch up with lots of things that are going on in the festival via our website. There'll be a lot of work that's shown online. So if you can't join us in Manchester, please do log on and you'll be able to engage with performances and all sorts of activities and really get a sense and flavour of the festival. So I really do hope that you join us then. And as I say, we really are open to great ideas, to great conversations about how you might want to work with us. So please do, at any time, get in touch. Thank you.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this week's edition of Doa Doa 2021 virtual docu-series. As you've heard from the amazing speaker, now you're going to get to know the artist. This week's In Focus artist is Jemima. She's one of the greatest performers of this country, and that's why she got herself the name The Gladiator. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy.
I'm a Ugandan. I'm a Ugandan. Nyuma emirimu tolina wona kalimu kokola okera kulela ngalo oli munna Uganda wanna bachi nyuma mukamabo tolina
ndi munna Uganda nenyumiririza nnyo mwekyo njagala nnyo nze ndi munna Uganda ensi yange nenyumiririza nnyo mwekyo gemazima. Hello everybody. Welcome to Doa Doa. I'm called Jemima Sanyu. I'm from Uganda, Kampala. Yeah. I'm a singer. I started doing music when I was still a very little girl in church. Jemima, people call me the stage gladiator. You can't see that now when I'm talking, but when I get on stage, I become furious. Yeah, I have this energy, I have this passion, and that is what makes me a gladiator. It's like a battlefield when I'm on stage, but I don't do it alone. It's not normally with a team that I work with. What has been my musical journey from childhood? I would say it wasn't an easy one, but my mom kept on pushing me. My mom was a singer in church, in a Catholic church, and she used to sing with us at home. Every time she would get moody, every time she would get happy, she would just make a choir. She had a choir of 5 little beautiful babies, and I was the firstborn. So most of the times, if she wasn't taking the lead, she would tell me, Jemima, please take the lead. And there was some simple song that she used to sing for us. Holy, 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 holy. So that grew, it grew in me. I grew up singing every day. We used to sing every day. So after, from home, I would go to school. Trust me, I was always in choir 24/7. Church, I was always in choir. I was in the worship team. I was singing in a church called JCC, Ginger Christian Center, way back in Ginger. When I went to university, I did something different. That was computer networking. I did a short course. Yeah. Then I tried to look for jobs around. Things failed. So that is when my husband came in. My husband, producer Legend P. He told me, but Jemima, you've tried everything and things have failed. Why don't you try singing? Why don't you take it to a professional level? You know? So I got in touch with his brother. His brother, actually two of his brothers, producer Henry Chiuwa and producer Steve Jane. So they kept on pushing me. They kept on helping me. They gave me training, and I ended up this professional singer. We also started a band. It was a very simple band in the beginning, but later on it kept on growing. I got to meet people like Mr. Faizo Chiwewa. He has really been a great man in my journey. So many people, but Mr. Faizo Chiwewa has really done a great job. I've worked with people like producer Henry Chiuwa, producer Legend P, producer Steve Jane. Actually, it's in the family. And my brother, producer Big Nash.
I give it to you. Give me love, then I give it to you. Give me love, I give it to you. Big Nash, Jemima, I give it to you. Hey!
What motivates me? There is a lot that motivates me, but mostly it's the people around me. The people around me. If you hurt me today, trust me, I'll write a good song about pain. Seriously. If you show me love, you know, if you hug, just a hug is enough for me to write a song. Yeah. Politics at times, you know, where I come from, it's just the daily life, the things that I look forward to as a musician. There are so many. There are so many. I kept on saying, oh, I want to be bigger than Angelique Kidjo since I was a little kid. I want to be bigger than this lady who sang Malaika. Malaika, nakupenda. I used to look at such women and they used to motivate me. But I wanted to be more. Up to now, I still want to be more. Even when you look at my performances, trust me, I'm more.
Katinze nawe tuseye yenga mayengo naguno mukwano kutumbire nga kavera baby nze nawe tuseye yenga mayengo naguno mukwano kutumbire nga kavera musangali musapatu natalina ya dele chikopo nebakola wa munebe zimbe mbela nechuka besubiza ngebiri pure ngabayitana babiri pea.
Seriously, Jemima Sanyo believes in God. First of all, I grew up in a godly family. We used to pray every day, morning, evening. There was a time I had to leave home. We had some issues, you know, how families, you know, my mom had to separate with my dad. They had to separate. And they took me to a pastor's home. Trust me, we would pray every day. So that really made me grow as a person, spiritually. It really helped me in the way I behave, treat other people. Yeah, in everything that I do, I have to make sure people see God. They see God. How do they see God? By doing good. Doing good. So I believe in God. I grew up in a very terrible family, you know. My dad was very, very, very tough. He used to beat us almost every day. Every day. Imagine every day, even without any reason. He'll just find you there sitting, doing nothing, and he'll just ask you, what are you doing? You know? And in case you didn't have any answer for that, he would beat you to death. He would make sure he first sees blood coming out of you. So that really brought pain, you know? It brought pain into my heart. Not me alone, even my siblings. Every time I open up my voice just to sing, I run away from all that pain. That's why I give it my all. That is where I get the strength from.
Najua tuliyokosana mimi na wewe, yeah. Hakunipa nafasi nikueleze ilianzaje na iliwaje, na hawezi ona the truth in my eyes. The old me, they got you blind. Hey!
How I was brought up, the pain I went through just because mom and dad were not happy together, you know, and I had to suffer, you know, and being the firstborn, I had to make sure I'm in between these wars, you know, in between mom's wars, dad's wars, the in-laws. It was always chaos, chaos, chaos everywhere. So it really made me grow into this strong, you know, strong, understanding, reasonable girl, you know. So, and up to now, I still feel the pain, you know, because it's hard, yeah? It's hard to see your mother somewhere different, your father somewhere different, and it's you who has to, you know, keep on pulling them together, you know, no, we have to do this, we have, you know, so that really drives me, you know. So every time I sing, I just run away from that pain. Actually, I normally don't talk about this story. This is the first time it's coming out. It's the first time. But I really love people. So every time I'm performing, I just want to spread that love out of me to the world, you know, out of me to the audience, out of me to everyone watching, out of me to the little girls, you know, because I don't want people, I know people have different challenges, they have different families, they have different parents, you know. Some of us were not lucky, but trust me, many of the girls are also have not been lucky. So what I normally do is I don't want to bring that pain to them. So that is what I normally do. I just spread the love. This is a special song coming from Jemima Sanyo. I want to dedicate it to everyone watching Doa Doa. It talks about love that cannot just go away. Broken love, tears, scars. But you know, you have to keep on holding yourself to that person, you know? And I would really want to dedicate it especially to the girls, to the women who have been through what who have gone through what I went through when I was growing up with my father, my tough, tough, tough father. Because I still love him. I still respect him, you know. He's my father. I can never get another father. Okay. This love is so tall, it gets us high, we touch the sky. These tears and the scars are too strong, they rewind the time. This love is so tall, it gets us high, we touch the sky. These tears and the scars are too strong, they rewind the time. Ni wanafaa kubadilisha ilianzaje, iliwaje. Jemima loves Beyonce. I love Beyonce because of her energy, her performance, her voice, you know. She touches my heart, you know. I would really feel good to perform with that woman, you know, having that Ugandan energy, joined together with, you know. I love Beyonce. Actually, even when you check my gallery, it's full of that lady. Her photos, her videos. I just love Beyonce. I won't specify that this is the kind of stage that I want to be on. You know, I just want to give myself room. Whatever comes my way is what I go with, you know. I just have to keep on being hopeful, you know. The stages are too many. There are too many. But trust me, whichever stage comes my way, trust me, Jemima can tear it down. Uh-oh! Is the world ready for me? It has to be. Am I ready for the world? Come on. I'm ready for the world, you know. During the COVID-19 season, yeah, actually it was a dead year because most of the venues where we were working from had to close down. The hotels, the restaurants, the bars, you know, the stages, Bayimba, we didn't do Bayimba, we didn't do Doa Doa. It was a lot. And there were some tours that we normally went to. They were all closed. Everything was shut down. What I decided to do was turn my energy to the studio, you know. So we recorded songs. I have songs like Bandage, Njagala Bandage, you know, and it's my husband, the producer, who produced it. I also have songs like Give Me Love, Give Me Love. That was my brother, Big Nash, who produced it, you know. So far, I have two producers working on me, Legend P and Big Nash. They're really putting in a lot because they know what I can do. And they love me, you know. They want the best from me. And I really appreciate that, you know. Where can people find my music? My music is everywhere. You can go to YouTube. Yeah, I have all the videos there, all the audios there, all my social media platforms, you know, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you know, SoundCloud, everywhere. Trust me, we try to put all the music out there for people to listen.
Thank you so much for joining this week's show, Doa Doa 2021. I hope you had some fun and got some inspiration. If you have any comment, please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave your comment, or our Facebook page, Twitter or Instagram. We'll definitely get back to you. We are very grateful, and until next week, I remain your host, Faizo Kiwewa from Bayimba and the Doa Doa team. Keep it Doa Doa 2021.
An army of sheep led by a lion will beat an army of lions led by a sheep. That's a fake. Yeah. So let's be very honest about this thing, and really understand that you need to understand where you lie and where you fall. So it's very important for us to understand that leadership has to be definitive. You can't be laissez-faire. It has to be definitive. You have to be strong, just like a lion. You know, when a lion meets an elephant or a buffalo or whatever, the buffalo and all these animals run away. And yet, by the way, they are stronger than the lion. They are heavier than the lion. They are more intelligent than the lion. They are taller than the lion. They run away. The lion, because of its attitude, it sees lunch. That is a leader.
Mr. Teratra, thank you very much for coming to the CEO bench. And I want to ask you, so if you were elected the President of the Republic of Uganda today, what would be your first State of Nation address? Now, as you look into the camera and close the show.
I think my first State of the Nation address would first of all to... I think I'll just close it down.
I was so excited seeing many of you enduring pain. Many of people here come to run for different purposes. Others are running because they're fighting a disease. Others are running because they're fighting weight. Others are running because they're contributing money to their families. So it is important for us to cheer everyone. The people of Kasese, I want to thank you for being extremely welcoming. You have shown the spirit of Uganda. We are Uganda. We are Uganda. Let me tell you, we have 33 nations represented today. Our first marathon was 2022. We had 800 runners from 4 countries. Last year, we had 2,200 runners from 17 countries. This year, we have 3,600 runners from 33 countries. Next year, we hope to have 7,000 runners from 50 countries. That's our commitment to Kasese.
Celebrating Africa's future.
Africa is talking.
When we first started the summit, the first day was they taught us about UI UX design. That's something you never do at campus unless otherwise. So the project we're working on is designing a UI and a UX of a USSD application. And that would help users always to get current market prices. So that is what we have been doing and what we look forward to enrolling it shortly after this summit.
I've been able to collaborate with different developers and learn more that I'll integrate it in my journey as a junior developer.
It has really been so amazing, and me taking part on the very first event has really been so great. So it has been so amazing, and I'm glad I was part of it.
My interview session was with Sylvia when she was talking about women in tech, and that really inspired me to pursue more.
It's very important for junior developers like me and fellow developers out there that if we get a chance to attend these events, we should attend them so that we can get more information from people who are above us so that we can be guided in the right path.
The most exciting thing and the session I had during the summit was the first thing I need to talk about this, like meeting Sylvia. I see a young lady talking to us content about this thing called Africa is Talking APIs, and the content she was giving us was really so amazing. So the first thing I loved so much about this was getting to meet her and getting to see her, the passion she has for African women and tech. Just really been so amazing, and yeah, I love that a lot.
My key takeaway of this summit is to be swift in running projects. However much you have a lot on your plate, you can still run them, whether in a group or as a person.
So my takeaway is we need to collaborate, and I'm looking forward to reaching out to most of those devs to see how we can collaborate and work together to build Africa. And I'm looking forward to being one of Africa's, entrepreneurs. And if it sparks from here, that's really so amazing. Looking forward to it.
Every day you wake up in the morning, what inspires you to do what you do?
Mostly when I wake up in the morning, I pinch myself because I think a lot of us in this life are trying to figure out what it looks like to live our best life. And to me, it's having a sense of meaning and purpose, and that I am working every day with a group of people that inspire me towards a purpose that I think is the most important in the world, and uses my unique gifts and talents to help push that forward. It gives me a sense of meaning and enthusiasm and energy that I think a lot of people don't have access to without that strong sense of purpose and the ability to focus their attention on that purpose on a daily basis. So I just feel extremely lucky.
This Africa is Talking Summit 2024 has actually been of great impact to African development, because this is a tech summit where young developers in our developer ecosystem have had a chance to interact and learn from the industry experts who actually understand where the development in technology, especially in Africa, is headed. So it's presented them an opportunity to now go back and build solutions that they've actually identified the gaps during this summit in technology. These solutions will be brought to the marketplace, and they'll be able to now solve a lot of these problems that we experience in Africa.
This summit has really been amazing, just looking at how it has brought people from different organizations, different backgrounds, just coming together to create new ideas, build new technology for Africa. That alone shows that we are working towards the best. and I am looking forward to what is to come.
For me, it's about answering the needs of Africa. And as Africa is talking, we are trying to support the innovations that will answer this problem. So we are at the point where we are positioning ourselves to help developers to be able to innovate to solve those problems. So this summit has brought together experts from different fields, different countries, and different expertise. So it's been a very engaging session where we have experts, we have people who are learning, a lot of networking, a lot of exchanges, and yeah, it's been amazing.
So I believe the Summit 2025 is a place to start and encourage the young people, the people at the lowest stage, to grow and build for Africa.
I know definitely it may not be in Uganda, but it will bring together a bigger group of developers and industry experts and even business leaders and entrepreneurs.
I think the tech industry is going to grow huge. I think in the next 5-10 years, we are going to have amazing stuff. We are going to have things that we have not seen before. And I'm really excited because I am seeing what the young minds are coming up with.
So just based on how this 2024 summit has been, I can't wait. I know it will be bigger, it will be better, and it can only get better from here. And we are looking forward to even bringing in more experts, more developers, more partners, more customers in the next session. So you should plan to be there.
Basically, innovating for Africa means that we are coming up with new ideas to make Africa better in the future.
As Africa's talking, we are looking at innovating around just answering to the needs of the people of Africa and ensuring that Africa is growing to where it needs to be. To me, I look at it from an opportunity because with the software engineering, they have ability to really build solutions that will innovate Africa.
Hello, welcome to yet another episode of You and the Law, the COVID edition here on House of Talent Television. This show is proudly brought to you by Legal Hub Uganda in partnership with I4C Africa Hub. You and the Law is simply what it states. You and the Law, we explain the relationship between human beings, between us people, and the law, because the law guides every aspect of our lives. This particular edition of You and the Law is dedicated to COVID-19. How has COVID-19 affected our human rights? Over the last episodes, we've tackled different human rights that have been affected by the pandemic. Today, we look at children. How has COVID-19 affected children's rights in Uganda? What are the issues that are emerging because of COVID-19 as far as children are concerned? What do we need to do to protect children in these hard times? With me in studio is Ms. Sarah Awelo, the lead counsel for GBV at the Uganda Christian Lawyers Fraternity. Sarah, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How have you been?
Oh, I'm okay. I've been fine. Well, COVID gave me some rest.
Yes. And in terms of work, because I know a lot of things have changed over the years, how has it affected your work life?
A lot of things have changed, yes. Sometimes you work from home, but being legal, it is hard to fully work from home. So you have court, home, in between. Sometimes you're torn. Is it today we are going to have court online or we are going to stay from? Then it's hard to meet your clients. You just see them via the video link.
Yeah, it's a crazy time, but hopefully things will normalize. You come from UCLF, the Uganda Christian Lawyers Fraternity. Perhaps for a person who could be hearing this for the first time, you could give us a little bit of more information about the organization that you work for.
Uganda Christian Lawyers Fraternity is a membership organization. It's a legal aid. We provide legal aid to people who could not afford money or any amount of money, especially family, land matters. We also provide legal aid to the children, juvenile justice. So we have all that. Then we also handle GBV, gender-based violence programs, mainly in Kayunga. Yes, so we are those places.
So your services are completely free?
Our services are free.
Oh, interesting. And in terms of the name of the organization, the Christian aspect of it, and somebody could be tempted to ask, are your services restricted to only a particular group of people who subscribe to a particular faith, or it's open?
No. We handle everyone. Everyone. You see, everyone is a child of God. So we handle everyone as a child of God.
Yes.
We believe we are missionaries, and we are doing that by working, helping people in the legal in a legal way. So for us, maybe we may not stand on the street every day to preach, but we shall go to court, we shall fight for people's rights every day.
Okay.
Yes, that's how we shall preach.
I think it's an interesting approach, to missionary work by providing an actual service. And so today we're talking about COVID-19 and how it has affected our lives, and we're specifically having conversation around children. But perhaps before we delve into much detail, we could try to understand from you, before we even talk about the law, what is this whole idea of children's rights? So why do they matter? Why should somebody lose sleep over rights of children? What's the value of children's rights?
You see, children are, all of us were once children, and the children, let's say it's the future of the nation. Okay, that's how it is sung. Children are the future of the nation. But how do we build a nation with broken children? So we need to protect these children so that we have a strong nation, we have a better future. I think that's why the rights of children have to be protected, so that we may have a better nation in future. Yes.
So children represent, a
nation.
The nation, and from a futuristic, I think it's a very interesting angle to this. But then now we move to talk about children's rights. As you've explained, children are the future of the nation and we should protect them. Is there a law that provides for that, or is that just your wishful thinking? Where do we derive the mandate to talk about children's rights?
The rights of children are protected by our constitution, the 1995 constitution as amended. Then we have the Children's Act. Then there are those conventions, the international conventions that Uganda decided to sign and be a part of. We have the 1985 UN Convention on the Rights of Children, and then the 1990 African Charter on the Rights and Welfare of the Child. So all that are some of the laws that protect children that Uganda ascribes to.
Okay, but in terms of then what exactly do they actually provide for? Like, what are those rights? If you do tell a random person that these are children's rights, what could be examples that we can share?
Well, they have a right to live with their parents or guardians. They have a right to education, a right to practice the religion they know, a right to, yes.
Very important for UCLF.
Yes, very important. A right to shelter, to medication. They have their rights. Yes.
So, but then if you move further and talk about those rights, whose duty is it to provide them? Because, there's been a lot of conversations around, in Africa, parenting children is a societal issue, but then you're discussing it from a human rights angle. So who bears the obligation to ensure that actually these rights are protected?
See, in Africa, the children are for the whole village, but okay, currently it's changing. Those days it used to be, I think, the days of our parents, but currently, who protects the children apart from their parents? Sometimes even the relatives do not protect them. So we have also the welfare officer, like the government decides to put in place institutions to protect them. For example, the Secretary for Children's Welfare in the local council. We have also the Family and Children's Court where we could run to when their rights are been infringed on. We have the probation and social welfare officers. We have the district probation and social welfare officers. We have all those people to protect. But really the main, it is each of us, all of us as individuals, even the children themselves, they should protect their own rights.
Some people argue that children's rights fall under the broad category of human rights. I mean, there's sort of a subcategory of human rights, and there's this talk about you need to respect, protect, fulfill this right, which is put on the state. I don't know from your experience working this, what does actually respecting children's rights mean in terms from the angle of the government?
Let's say the right to live with your parents. What should the government do to help children to make sure that that right is respected? Parents, one thing government should also do is help the parents have income or have something to provide for these children. Because when they start saying then we have a right to be given proper food, right to clothing, we have medical care and a home, if the parents are sleeping on the streets, then how will these rights be given to them? So I think with the government, it has to start with the parents. The parents should be given the ability or should
conducive environment.
A conducive environment to provide and protect the rights of these children.
Okay. And then in terms of the fulfilling this right, some people argue that it's important to have laws, policies in place. I wonder how Uganda is doing in that context, if you, from your experience as a child rights advocate.
Well, we have very good laws. Yes.
On children issues?
On children's issues,
okay.
We have.
Run out through them. Run out through them.
We have the Constitution, the Children's Act. They give us very good laws toward the rights of children, the obligation, how to ensure that they have proper health, education, mental, physical, and moral development. And our issue is implementing those laws, and then also do people know those laws. Right now we are talking about the laws, and we are here in Kampala with an upper class talking about it. But what about that mother in Kayunga who has all those issues? She has no idea, maybe even that the children have rights. For her, her work is to see them live every day. I got a saying in my work with the people in Kayunga when they said that children grow anyway. Somehow they will grow.
They will
grow.
Yes.
It's hard. Even our crops don't just grow. You have to weed.
Yes.
What? Yeah, but you see, to them that's their belief. Somehow they will grow.
You've mentioned about the Constitution and talked about the Children's Act. Perhaps we could spend a bit of more time understanding the Children's Act and sort of its provisions on children's rights. What are the salient features that we can, talk about if you were to, tell a random person about this children's rights from the angle of that act?
From the angle of the act, a child is a person like below the age of 18.
Oh, by the way, we forgot even to understand that, yes.
A child is a person from that age of 18. And then children's rights mean the basic needs that a child must have to ensure his or her proper growth and development. I look at it, proper growth and development.
Proper growth and development.
It's relative. That's relative. Because and a child will say, for me to have proper growth and development, I need Cerelac. The other one will get up and go to a mango tree and look for those small mangoes that are even not yet. So it's relative. And it's even under the act we say, they have their obligations. So sometimes we go so much on their rights. But see, they also have an obligation. But like they said, the obligation for them to go to school and be obedient while at school. But a child to go to school on an empty stomach, unless he or she knows that at school they're going to give me something to eat. Some porridge. So that one, it will be easy for the child to fulfill that obligation. But just sending the child to school and the child knows there's nothing for me to eat. We'll pass by the gardens, people's homes, look for mangoes. By the time they reach school, it is midday.
Yes.
And then they get back.
Yeah.
So we have under the Children's Act those very good laws, the rights, the obligations, but also we have the buts. But
yes, there's always a but somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So let's then switch gears, because we're discussing children's rights, but specifically in the context of COVID-19, which came and really, forced a government to do so many things, and most of them really had a bearing on children's rights. So I'll sort of start from that point. When you assess, when COVID-19 came, what are those actions that government of Uganda took generally, and then perhaps later we can discuss how those affected children's rights?
When COVID-19 came, I know the government was trying to protect its citizens, that's its work. Then it closed schools, it closed places of worship, and then there were no places of leisure, were also closed. And it brought all that. It was good. They wanted to protect everyone from COVID-19, prevent death, that's their work. And it has gone on. It's now 2 years. It's 2 years. For a child who has always gone to church every Sunday or been taken to the mosque.
I can notice your interest in church.
See, and then all of a sudden there's no going anywhere. They are stuck on let's say, the four walls.
Yes.
Inside the house, inside the gate, or within the compound. And then they cannot go swimming, they cannot go moving around with their friends, roaming. Okay, let me put in the village.
Playing even.
Playing.
Yeah.
You see, going to the other neighbor. This where it has brought a lot of
problems.
Mental.
Yeah. Let's go for a quick break at this point, and perhaps when we return back, we'll have a deeper conversation around the effects of COVID-19 on children. You're watching You and the Law, the COVID edition here on House of Talent Television. Today, we're discussing COVID-19 and how it has affected children's life. Right. Let's go for a quick break. We'll be right back. Live in one-bedroom houses.
Yes.
And have nothing to look except their, iron sheets.
Yeah, sure.
And really, you're, our first guest really on this program. And why do you think it's, sort of important for people to just know about the law? Because I know you've been teaching law and practicing law for all these years. Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you. When it comes to the law, we basically live the law, on a day-to-day basis. Whether it is in your bedroom, there is a law that governs it. If you're married, for example, even if you're single, there could be something touching on the law, because you might be in your bedroom with an underage girl, or you might be with another person's wife. All the things are the law. When you jump on a border, there is law. When you're driving, we're talking about traffic. If you go to a restaurant, you must ensure that you have the money, because you're consuming someone's energy and investment. So you must be able to pay for that. So we interact with the law at all times.
It's part of our everyday life.
Yes.
Man, you don't want to be in trouble after many years of working hard only to realize that you have no rights at all, simply because you didn't celebrate any of the marriages that are recognized within the laws of Uganda. With that, we come to the end of this edition of You and the Law. It's a bye from us. See you next time.
and the right to food.
Yes, yes.
You know?
That's an interesting one, because I remember in the first lockdown, people were like, you know, I would rather die of COVID than die of hunger in my house.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, tell us. Welcome back. This is You and the Law, the COVID edition, here on House of Talent Television. My name is Jonathan Ochom, your host. Today we're discussing COVID-19 and how it has affected children's rights. And with me in studio is Ms. Sarah Awelo from the Uganda Christian Lawyers Fraternity, popularly known as UCLF, at least among the lawyers. So Sarah, welcome from the break.
Thank you.
Yeah. So before we went for the break, we started the conversation around COVID-19, the actions that government took to curb down the virus, and how it has affected children. You started from the angle of education. I'm actually started from church, understandably, because you're from UCLF. So we could carry on the conversation around some of the other aspects that COVID-19 affected for children's rights.
Yes, for example, now when the schools were closed, and now the ones who are supposed to be in P1 have been in P1 for the last 2 years. There are children who have never stepped classes since the government closed. And you see, there's going to be a big difference between the children, like children from that village and this one's from the towns. Yes.
City.
So there's going to be, I'll say, an imbalance. There will be something wrong with that generation. Okay, I don't know how to put it, but I think it will be like that, because these ones, there are those who are studying, there are those who are not. There are those who can afford the private teachers at home, and there are these children who have been seated at home. I remember one time I was in Dokolo, and we asked the children, they came and told me, no, we can't understand English. We left those ones 2 years ago. And I'm like, okay. So I said, okay, can I give you a pen and you write your name? That, me, I forgot. You see? So there is that. And then when we come to the girl child, there are those ones who have gotten pregnant. Hey, it's a big number. And I just thought, if 100 girls get pregnant, those are 100 people 100 men or boys who are supposed to be in jail.
I didn't see that coming. Okay.
Yes. Every time I see it in my mind, I'm like, I just hope I get like 100 of those ones. They should be in jail. That's how it should be. Then there are those early marriages. Parents who have married off their daughters. So those ones are supposed to be in jail somewhere. So sorry about that. They're supposed to be in jail. Why? Because they are not protecting these children.
They're actually committing criminal.
Yes, they're committing more offenses. So for me, as I see numbers of girls getting pregnant, I keep wondering, are also that same number or more in jail because of the crimes I've committed, you know, and then there are those ones of child-to-child sex, and in my head I'm like, have they cancelled those ones? But you see, in Uganda we don't have those counselling services. The probation officers are overwhelmed also. But again, who cares to go to the probation officer to report or ask their child, like, oh, come and counsel, my child has been going through this. I'll give an example. In Kayunga, one of the boys was arrested for defilement. So I meet with this girl. In Kayunga, we handled, our work is mainly like with the state, with the state attorney. So I meet with this girl. I ask her, we talk. And she was like, no, I just want him to be cautioned. I'm like, are you sure?
Wow.
You want him to be cautioned, and then you want to go back to the same group. It needs a mindset. It took me, took us like 3 hours talking to her. And then I told her, so what do you want to become? She actually wanted to become a teacher. I'm like, so now when you get pregnant, how will you become a teacher? Because you'll have a child to look after. But for him, he will have to continue with his education and what. After some thinking, he was like, I need him to be kept away for some time so that my mind can rest.
Yeah.
So we need a total, okay, what COVID has brought has destroyed the mindset of children. That's what I believe. And we need a change in the mindset of the children, that it doesn't matter when schools are closed, you can still get a book and read. But where will they get the books also from? The libraries,
are closed.
public libraries, do we even have them deep in the villages?
I mean, even in Kampala.
Even
I
in
don't know how
Kampala,
many. Yeah.
it's countable. And who goes there? Remember, there is no when they closed completely and not moving everywhere, who will walk to come and get a book for the child to read? So we've had, COVID has brought a lot of negativity, I would put it, in the lives of the children. There would have been some positive things if the parents were sensitized early enough on how to raise children even when schools are closed.
Yeah. Sarah, you raised very, very touching, stories, which I know you've picked in the course of your work, and it's really chilling if you ask me. But I want us to have a conversation around the measures that government put in place to curb down COVID-19, and I'll ask you, how child-friendly were those measures? What's your assessment of, so for example, you're hearing of distribution of food, you're hearing about online learning, you're hearing about all these things that they put in place. How child-friendly, or what's your evaluation of those interventions? Let's start with the positives. What do you think worked? Yes, what do you think worked?
There's a positive, like thank you for those innovations like online schooling, but seriously, if you look at somebody in Dokolo, that's my village, so I can talk, and I know I have. They don't even have radios.
The government, I think, tried to give some radios. I don't know if they reached
never
Dokolo.
reached.
Oh, okay.
I heard they were going to give radios. Where it died from, I don't know. But it didn't reach. Then they started saying they would distribute the books, like some books to schools and what. But did those books reach to the village? You see, there is the village school. Then there is the village school.
Yeah.
Even in the village, there's a town and there's a
then
village.
there's a real village.
Yes. So there's that village school. Did it reach? Do those who don't even have clothes to put on, can they afford a smartphone? Can they sit and listen to UBC? Where will they get it from? I think it would have been, government would have just built a community place where children but that also would have stopped the COVID.
Exactly, social distancing
Social
issues.
distance.
Yeah.
So if you look at food, food was distributed, they gave milk.
Okay.
But you see, that food will not take the children for long. Let's say you distribute that food to a mother of 8 or 5.
Even just 3.
Or even just 3. Would that food take them? It wouldn't take them for long. I think, COVID surprised everyone. And I know the government was trying its best to provide for its citizens, and it tried. But maybe we need proper structures in the communities. We need the LCs to give us proper structures in the communities to say these are the number of children we have in the community, but these are their age brackets. So that even when the government is providing something, food, it's providing things, like during the COVID times, it knows that in this particular community, we have this number of children, these are their age brackets. So let's say between 15 and 17 or 18, these ones, let's provide them with, apart from sugar and what, I think they need pads, or they need these. So the government tried, but it had some up and down.
You talked about food, milk. I was about to ask you if some of your relatives in Dokolo benefited from it, but perhaps that can be a conversation for another day. But Sarah, now you work a lot around juvenile justice, and I thought we could sort of pick your insights as well from the angle of juvenile justice. How did COVID affect that area? Because I know even before that, children already were having conflicts with the law. And like many people argue that COVID just came and worsened the situation. I don't know what your views you have, around that area.
The juvenile justice and children, maybe most children ended up going on the streets during this COVID time. They left school, they started looking for money. And I don't know how many will go back to school. We have parents bringing children to the organization for us to counsel them, because when they tried secondary, opened a bit the other time, the children didn't want to go back. Because now they were making money.
Oh, on the streets.
On the streets. Some of them, the parents took them to the garages to learn something. So they felt they have enough skills.
They've arrived.
They have arrived. They don't want to go back. And you find the parents crying, saying, let them go back for some medication and what. So there is that loophole going on that we need more guidance for the children at this particular time in this COVID-19. We are still in COVID-19 times. Yes, we are still in. And then what I've seen, there was a lot of violence in the homes and abuse in the homes. First of all, there was violence between the parents, but their escape route was school. When school got closed, they got entangled in the violence with the parents. And then they became the escape route.
Oh, for venting their anger.
For venting the anger. So they got all the pressure was thrown on them. They were beaten. When the mother again will blame, it's because of you, that's why I'm staying. The child goes, no. Then the child is left. I remember one, Enoch, I won't give the other name, decided to even run away from home.
A child running away from home?
Yes, and he's 10.
Oh dear.
And then we had to counsel him. By the time we got him using police, he said for him he's tired of the work at home. It's routine. And he wants to also start going and playing with his peers. But the parents are saying, no, the peers go drinking and what, we don't want him to be a part of that.
Which is a fair point.
Which is a fair point. But I think for him, it's like, I'm tired of being in this thing. But
four corners.
Four corners. And he comes from his parents drink also a lot and what, so they leave him with all the work. So he said for him, he's tired of the work, he rather goes on the street and vent for himself.
Sarah, some of the stories you're sharing are, quite chilling. Viewers, you're watching You and the Law, the COVID edition here on House of Talent Television. Today we are discussing children's rights. How has COVID-19 affected the rights of children in Uganda? What do we need to do? How do we protect children further during these extraordinary times? Let's go for a quick break. When we return, we'll give a sneak peek into the future. How do we get out of the mess that we find ourselves now from the angle of protecting children? Let's go for a break. We'll be right back. About the right of food,
Yeah, so that topic will also be discussed. As we all know, it's one of the rights which is internationally recognized. So we need to delve and try to understand what that right entails, Does it mean that the government should bring food and put on your table? Weekly updates, kind of. So what happens is, at first there wasn't an interpreter. I don't know whether there is one now,
It's been a while.
Yes, so there was a complaint that even the president's speeches were,
There was no sign language, conversation, an impactful discussion around this,
Well, thank you. So each of these topics is going to be packaged, in almost a similar manner. So we'll be starting with the foundational issues. For starters, if we say we're going to discuss the rights of children in this country, we do not want to attack it at a higher level. We want to start by making you to understand that who is a child,
Welcome back from the break. This is You and the Law, the COVID edition here on House of Talent Television with me, Jonathan Ochom. Today we are discussing children's rights and how they've been affected by COVID-19. And with me in studio is Sarah Awelo, lead counsel for the GBV program at the Uganda Christian Lawyers Fraternity. Sarah, welcome from the break.
Thank you.
So we need to sort of look into the future. You've clearly given us really chilling accounts of the different situations children find themselves in because of COVID-19 and the different initiatives that, that government has tried to do, as well as parents. Now we need to think about anything that could happen 5 or 10 years from now, because we're not sure when the virus will come to an end. We don't know if anything else could emerge in future. So as a country, that calls for preparation. So now I'll now ask you, looking at what the government of Uganda has done, what lessons do we learn from this intervention, from the angle of protecting children's rights? And perhaps later on we shall talk about recommendations, but what do you think we learn from our current intervention, our current experience trying to protect children amidst COVID-19?
What do we learn? We need everyone in the society to stand up, like to really get together and form a relationship. It doesn't matter the political party, whatever. We need to, religion, we need to first put away differences and come together and say we need to fight. We can't even fight COVID because we don't know much about it. But how do we protect people? Yes, they're saying immunization, but the children can't be immunized. And I was looking at children living with HIV, AIDS. During that lockdown, how were they getting their medication? It was hard. Then there were those children with cancer who were told to go back home. And then it is later that they started trying to get doctors on motorbikes to go and deliver the medication. But see, when there's a break in their medication, it brings more it brings more issues. And no one talked about the children who died during that time because of medication, not having medication in time and what, or who have fallen back in their things. So we need to learn to have a standby. We have to have community, maybe say there are paralegal, paramedics in the communities, and these paramedics should reach out to it should be in every parish, every village. We should have paramedics, so that if something happens like this in future, we have our paramedics already to reach out to children, children with disabilities, children living with HIV, AIDS, even the normal children when they fall sick. You see, moving you have to go and get permission first. But if we had paramedics in the villages, it would be so easy. We wouldn't have this fallback a lot. And then maybe we should, even the parents who are not dedicated, I know they can teach math somehow. They would teach in the local language. Math can be taught in the local language.
1 + 1.
With the stones and what. But maybe we should try and get teachers and pay them more on how to reach areas. They're saying paying the scientists, but also the art teachers. Because these art teachers are the ones going to teach English to the scientists.
And they need English to pass science.
They need English to pass science. So we need the art teachers also. But if we could pay them hard to reach area more money, just because they are in those communities, maybe build for them proper housing facilities, so that even when this happens, we have teachers who will go reach out to villages to see that the children are listening, or the children are studying at least twice a week. If a teacher appears before a child and they go through some of the it refreshes them and tells them, stay with this, next week I'll pass by. So we need that to keep people to reach out to stay in the communities.
What of in terms of juvenile justice, in terms of keeping children safe from the law, ensuring that their rights? You're talking about violence at the family level. You talked about environment and kind of things. How do we, in future, what do we need to do to ensure that if we find ourselves in this situation, this is how we shall protect children against sexual assault, for example?
We need to empower our local community, our LCs. And also first we need to empower the children. Do they know what the bad touch is? We were just trying to teach them before they went to lockdown. Where do they go? Do they know where to go to? Most of them are threatened after defilement. They're told, don't speak, or else we'll kill you, we'll kill your family. Then some of them, like this one who said, I was told to go, and they told him, you stand outside, we are going to give you a TV. But these thieves were coming to rob the grandmother.
Oh dear.
But they told him, we shall give you a TV where you'll watch every day. You don't have to ask permission or what. So they entered in the house for him. He stood to see that no one comes in. And then in the process, they killed the grandmother. So it was during the burial that he kept saying, but this one was the last to, these people entered the house. Then they said grandmother has died. So they're like, how did you know? So he gives the story. So he was arrested and told to go and tell these other people, take us to these people. So all the other co-accused were arrested. And maybe he was charged with murder.
Oh, the child?
Yes. Because he was in the whole chain. But he couldn't understand it, you know. And he kept saying, most of them will call you auntie. Auntie, I didn't do it. I'm like, yes, you didn't do it. I didn't kill. I'm like, yes, you did. It is those ones, they entered. But if we could empower our children and tell them that they have this obligation. Yes, they have the rights, but they have the obligation. They have obligations to respect the society, respect their children. They have obligation to do work at home. They have, we have something we expect from them, even if we are giving them rights. So that they grow up knowing it's not about watching TV throughout. You have to also do something. Maybe that would help them. Not so that people do not sweet talk them. How are we talking to our daughters? How are we training our daughters? Will somebody give them, say, if you come and I do this to you, or I touch your breast, I will give you 500. And it's a coin, a 500 coin. And most of them can say, and he gave me a 500 coin to keep quiet. Or after being defied, it comes and say, they gave me 1,000. Is there a way we can teach them about value? How do they value themselves from young? You see, a child gets to understand from the time they are born. That's why they cry when they are hurt. So we need to teach value to the children from when they are young. But value is got if the person teaching them also has value. So do the parents have value to pass over? So should the government also? So we need to empower the local council to empower the community. We need to empower the religious leaders to empower the community. We also need to empower the witch doctors, the herbalists, and teach them, because you see they are the ones who, when somebody is arrested, they will say, the witch doctor told me if I sleep with a girl, my problems will be solved. So if we teach these witch doctors that the law says if they ever get you, if you are arrested, like even for sacrifice, child sacrifice, you will be penalized, you will be held for murder, you will go in for life. This is what the law says. There's a way they will trick. They will start telling the person, your problems will be done, let me put something on your hands, and then you go and work. The person
just playing with your mind.
They just play with their minds and go. I had an opportunity to talking to a witch doctor.
Okay. You're seeking their services.
we were sensitizing.
Oh, okay.
And you see in Kayunga, they are so proud to come and say how they are witch doctors because they are really respected in the community.
Yes.
So I said, okay. So we kept talking, and then I told him, but now instead of giving these women who come and complain about their husbands, or the husbands come and complain about their women. So he says for him what he does, he gets it's a herb. It's actually a herb. And then he tells them when he starts quarreling, you put it in your mouth and bite it. So the lady keeps biting, so she doesn't reply to the quarrels. Then the man keeps quiet. And then she'll start saying, oh, my husband actually changed. He stopped quarreling. But she doesn't know. It's because she did not answer back, so there was no one to...
There was no need for a fight.
There was no need for a fight, you know. So if we need also to empower them, the herbalist, the... You see how Mama Fina tries to help out, but if we empower her with the law, how much
information
more?
On the law.
Yeah, information on the law. Then she empowers her people. You know, so many people follow her. So we need to get those people who are the community bless, like the community look up to.
Yeah. You mentioned about the child, you know, being charged with a criminal offense, and I thought perhaps we'll take advantage of your presence to talk about criminal responsibility for children, because there's always emphasis on rights, like you correctly said, but also to know for children to know that you have responsibilities even during COVID-19. You could just run up through about, you know, what's the law, criminal
on children's
responsibility. At 5 years, do they become
when when it's 12 years and when they're less than 12 years, from 11, they are not criminally liable.
Okay.
But
so you can do anything in that age.
But you see there, we can get the LC to beat. I don't believe you just do something as a child and you walk away with it.
Yes.
No. But from 12, they are criminally liable, and they can be arrested. They're taken to the remand homes, and we have remand homes all over Uganda.
Yes.
And the main one is Kampala. That's how they pronounce it. It's long.
Yeah. Is that on the Masaka Highway?
Yes.
Yeah.
So they are taken there, and they are taken. They are taught. They are taught on vocational training, making wood, tools, but they're trained from that side. Now they're taken to the remand home at Naguru, where they're also taught, but they are liable, but they also need to know that. So if we also teach them that from 12 years, we shall really jail you in the children's jail if you misbehave, then there is also, I think they will also change their behavior. But also these ones below 12, like from 11 downwards. May I believe a child will understand. We will not be like whites all the time and say you're going to be taken to a punishment corner and stand there. No, I think a few two sticks will get the person. Even the Bible says, spare the rod and spoil the child. So we will not allow sparing the road, because as I started, we want children are the future of our nation. So we are not going to let them get away with anything, but we shall stick, as the Bible says, spare the rod, spoil the child.
Yes.
No, we are going to see that they are all brought up in a godly manner, whereby in the future we shall have less corruption.
They're indeed the future.
Yes. If they have less corruption, they know the law. Yes.
Sarah, as we come to the end of this show, just as sort of your final concluding remarks, and how do we then get out of this mess as a country in 30 seconds?
How do we get out of this mess?
Protect children, yes.
And protect children. We all have to come together.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter about your religion, your party, your what. Come together. Let us see in each of our neighborhood who is a teacher in the neighborhood. We need to be the eyes of the parents in the neighborhood. Let us go back to saying it takes a village to raise a child.
Okay.
Don't let somebody's child be doing something wrong and you just say that's not my child. Take responsibility.
Okay, Sarah makes a very compelling point. We should take responsibility. We have to protect children during COVID-19 by following the law, empowering people with information so that they know that an extraordinary time like the pandemic is not an opportunity for you to exploit children, but rather to actually protect their rights. With that, we've come to the end of today's edition of You and the Law. I've been your host, Jonathan Ochom. Next week, we'll have another conversation on yet another human right which has been affected by the virus. Until then, bye.
My name is Emmanuel Mwaka. I work as the Chief Executive Officer of ICA Lion Life Assurance. I also wear the hat as the Executive Director for ICA Lion Asset Management. Initially, in the formative stages of UBRA, Emmanuel was in the background doing something in the financial services space, providing a few insights. So I have seen the baby, the toddler, and this is a toddler like none other that has grown significantly. I'm an FCCA, that means I'm a chartered accountant with the ACCA in the UK. I'm also an accountant registered with the ICPAU in Uganda. On top of all that, I also hold a master's degree from Heriot-Watt University in the UK, having studied my bachelor's in development economics at Makerere University in Kampala. How I wished UBRA was birthed earlier than it was birthed, because going back a bit in the late 80s, the financial sector reforms that significantly impeded the growth of the pensions sector and the overall financial market maybe would have been handled better with a regulatory authority like UBRA, specifically looking out for the interests of pensioners and those that are in the process of preparing for retirement. The 10 years that I have interacted with UBRA in various capacities have been 10 years of steady growth. Growth as an individual, growth as the organization that I lead, and growth generally for the industry. With the coming in of UBRA, we could now see, and we are now confident, that there is supervision and there is additional professionalism in the running of pension schemes, straight up from the NSSF to the other smaller players that are in the private pension scheme space. I would say that it almost goes without saying that if you're to look at the last 10 years and compare the performance of pension schemes in comparison to the previous 10 years before then, you would realize that actually on average there could be more than double growth generally over the two 10-year periods. And the reason for that definitely is the missing piece in the puzzle that UBRA was, to bring in professionalism by encouraging certification, making sure that all the players meet certain basic minimum benchmarks that of course have brought in the things that you see today where people retire and they don't have to line up in any pension scheme places. All they have to do is submit their required documentation, and within 2-3 days a week, they already have their funds. This was totally unheard of in the past. And I would say that it's in no way singularly a role that has been played by the players in the market, but it's also testament to the fact that the benchmarks that the regulator has set for us as players in this market have allowed us to step up, to go a notch higher and provide the service that we must provide for our customers. And the customers in this case are retirees or those that will be moving and changing employment. I think as well, looking generally at the business environment, you rarely now see complaints of people stating that the funds that they thought they had in their names have disappeared or have been paid to the wrong person. And all this is just because of the supervisory role that UBRA has brought in, which has been pivotal in making us run a world-class pension sector in Uganda. So as Emmanuel, I think I see the next 10 years as redefining for UBRA. And I speak in my capacity as a customer of UBRA, from the small fund that I have to my name with the nation's main fund, NSSF. I speak as well as a private customer with the fund that I have from my employer, ICA Lion. But I also speak in my capacity as an administrator and to an extent as a fund manager. I think the next 10 years are going to be very pivotal for UBRA because we are almost inching towards the 20 trillion asset mark in the pensions sector. That's very significant when you compare that and you consider the size of the GDP of this country. But you also realize that where we are going, I think there is opportunity for us to venture into the triple Ps, that's the public-private partnerships, and the pension sector provides the required assets to actually finance government initiatives, which we will all enjoy. You know, the better road network, talk about hospitals, healthcare, name it. UBRA has a very key role to actually guide the discussion in that direction. And I think the more UBRA takes its role in making sure that the discourse around patient capital is driven and they're part of that discussion, I think we will go to the next level. I would also say that looking generally at the growth in the economy, naturally with the inflationary movements, I think UBRA's role also in ensuring and working with fund managers, with trustees, with custodians and training them to ensure that the growth in most funds has by far exceeded the inflationary environment. I would expect that we will actually see UBRA achieving its mandate of ensuring that at the end of the period, you have members who have wealth that has been grown and built over time, and they can be able to afford a very decent retirement. Because at the end of the day, I think UBRA's mandate will be tested by the amount or the number of retirees who are living in poverty or who are excelling. And I think then that if we can come up with that yardstick and we just measure the level of poverty in retirement for mostly those that have been in formal employment and those that are now being attracted through the smaller schemes to join formal saving arrangements, even when they are in the informal sector, I think that would be the best yardstick to say, UBRA, I think this is the target that we need to drive at. As ICA Lion Life, I think we are working and we've shared ideas with UBRA and specifically to get rid of retirement and old age poverty. We've worked with UBRA to launch one of the only annuity schemes for retirees, incidentally with the first licensed pension scheme, that is Makerere University Retirement Benefit Scheme, where we launched an annuity plan for members who are retiring to actually purchase lifetime income. Now, retirement is synonymous with wondering what to do, but at the very least, with the guidance and with joining hands with UBRA, we now have an annuity solution then that allows retirees to never work any other day in their life, but still have an income and credited to their bank accounts every month. Now tell me if that would not get rid of old age poverty, and tell me if that will not also get rid of retirees gambling on projects that they've never done in their work life, or wondering what to do with money they've never touched in one go, but just simply because they've built it up over 30 years and now they have it and they don't know what to do. And of course, as you very well know, I think the wealthier an economy gets, the wealth is distributed to people. Unfortunately, the sharper the fraudsters get. So retirees now are the biggest culprits of get-rich-quick schemes, which actually get them poorer and have them leave retirement in absolute poverty. So if you were to ask me, what should UBRA's next 10 years focus on? I would say that UBRA's next 10 years should be to now build this 20 trillion asset base that has been generated, should actually be able to ensure a comfortable life in retirement for all members who are in the retirement schemes. But UBRA should also then allow and come up with mechanisms to support the players to be able to onboard all the smallholders, all the informal sector to come in and secure their retirement by participating and joining the licensed pension schemes in the market. Many, many, many congratulations, UBRA. I think as ICA Lion Group, we are very proud of the feat that you've attained. We are very happy that we've been part of this story, and we know we will continue to be part of this growth story that you have that you've attained as UBRA. I must say, of course, that as well as ICA Lion, we actually also actively participate in the growth of UBRA in the work that it does through the schemes that we run. But from the board and management of ICA Lion Group, many congratulations. UBRA, you have 10 more years to shine, and another 10 after that, and another 10 after that. And we believe that you are only going to get better, and you're only going to serve us, your customers, your service providers even better. I think to the customer out there who might not even think they are a customer because you ride a boda, you are in the garden, you don't even have anything to your name, UBRA will find you wherever you are and will look after you, because it's their mandate to look after you in retirement. And they can only look after you in retirement if you avail yourself now, when you have the earning power, when you have the muscle to till that land, when you have the ability to ride that boda. This is the time when UBRA needs you the most, so that UBRA then will assure you of looking after you when you cannot ride that boda anymore when you're in your retirement. But for you to do that, simply reach out to UBRA. They do a lot of drives, and I'm sure they'll be able to get to you. As service providers, I think we'd want to say congratulations again, UBRA. We feel the heat sometimes because you want us to do better and more, but we are ready for the task. And I think it's only for the better of the industry, for the protection of the members' funds, and we are ready and willing to even go beyond the call of duty that you set for us. This is a journey. This is one of those marriages that we know will be long-term. We are joined at the hip because we have the same clientele. So this is my commitment to you, that we will walk this journey together. We will do that which you require of us, and we will as well point you in the directions that we think we need to go as we build the industry together. I think my message to the government as well is UBRA, like any other baby who is 10 years old, actually like any other 10-year-old adult, requires a lot of nurturing, requires a lot of support. But above all, I think government is the biggest spender in any economy. I think the expenditure of government is critical to the growth of UBRA. I think it's high time that the pension schemes, the defined fund that is run through public service, is given sight through UBRA as well, so that UBRA can, in a way, revitalize the public service pension scheme in such a way that it would make sense to the members, to the civil servants, even when they retire, so that they can get a bit more as their take home every month in retirement and for longer. I think to the government, I think we are tired of seeing people changing their ages. Just work a little more. I think if they had the guarantee that UBRA would provide, that in retirement, this is what you will be getting, and as a regulator, we will see to it that you receive this, then I think we will also have a bit more room for the younger generation to join the working ranks and possibly add better value to the running processes of the government as a whole. But above all, I think it will allow us to get rid of old age poverty. And I think for me, for the rest of the regulators and for those that then work with UBRA, I would almost speak on their behalf and say that, we are very proud of the child that was born 10 years ago and is now an adult and has achieved all these milestones, has enabled professionalism to get into a sector that was bereft of confidence, has built confidence across board in a sector which is very pivotal. And I'd almost say that we know that we can only get better with UBRA, and we know for a fact that UBRA, with the resources that it has, with the people that it carries with it, will lead us to the promised land. And the promised land, of course, is for us to see that we get rid of old age poverty. So that would be my message. And again, many congratulations, UBRA. My name is Emmanuel Mwaka. I work with ICA Lion Life Assurance as the Chief Executive Officer. I also work with the asset management company in ICA as the Executive Director. I wear a few other hats within the insurance industry. I am currently the Treasurer of the Ugandan Insurers Association. I also chair the Life and Pensions Committee of the Ugandan Insurers Association. Emmanuel has been in the financial services sector for over 13 years. Emmanuel has seen and been a part of the process of the birth of UBRA to an extent, and has been there from the time UBRA was effectively birthed. and has seen Ubra or has worked with Ubra in various capacities to see the Ubra that we are celebrating today. And on that note, I'd want to wish Ubra a very merry celebration. Many, many, many congratulations. I would almost say that I think the president of Uganda must have talked about the middle income status that we've gotten in, thanks to the efforts of Ubra as well in garnering the funds that we have, close to 20 trillion. I'd want to wish Ugandans well. Ubra is an entity to trust. Ubra is an entity that is looking out for you in whichever capacity that you're in, whether you're like me who puts on a suit, or you're out there in the garden or riding your boda, there is an entity called Ubra that looks out for you. And all they want to do for you is to make sure that when you hang up your boots, when I hang up this jacket in retirement, Ubra wants me to live a fulfilled life, a life bereft of poverty, a life of joy and happiness. And Ubra works with people and different entities to deliver that. So I'd want to congratulate Ubra again, and I know we will carry along all the retirees with us, those that are there right now and those that are in the process of getting into retirement. Again, let's trust Ubra. They're trustworthy. They've seen us grow and they'll see us get to a higher level.